good, everybody? Look, y'all know who I am, but for those who don't know, I go by the name of Gabriel, and this is my business partner, co-host.
What's up, y'all? JR, how y'all doing?
Listen, man, this is another Friday right here, rocking with Ask a Producer. Y'all know how we like to say it. This is a podcast that we like to bring producers on, right? And we feel that everyone is a producer of something, right? Hopefully you're not producing chaos and just, damaging things and negativity, but producing positivity. We like to bring people on that's pushing that needle, that's making an impact, not only in their lives, but in the lives of people around them, their community, and just doing great things, right? So, JR, man, how's your Friday been going, bro?
Friday's been pretty good, man. Can't complain. Just grinding, man. Trying to get to the next level. So,
You know what, JR? If I ever hear you say a complaint, then I'll know something's wrong.
I can't complain, man. I can't.
Because you say that every. Hey, how's
It's
your
a
Friday?
reason behind it.
I can't complain.
It's a reason behind it.
I feel you, man. So this Friday's been a great one as usual for me. Everybody's busy. We get that, but I would say it this way. Sometimes or most of the times, you get busy in the things that you prioritize. Right. The things that you feel that's important to you, you do those things. Right. And sometimes saying, man, I'm busy is kind of like a knockoff or I'm too busy for you. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll prioritize what's important to you, right? So it don't matter how busy a person get, right? If something's important to you, you'll make time. In your busy schedule, you will make that time for that. So today's Friday, man, we have a special guest in the green room, and like every Friday, we bring the heat, right? We bring the content that you guys need to hear. I say need to hear. So I want you to tag a singer, tag an artist, tag an entrepreneur, tag an aspiring person, whatever you do, because these are principles, pretty much. We speak principles, no matter who we bring on the platform. Take the principles of what we're doing. But we have a very special guest in the green room tonight. She hails from the great land of the oak. Put it together, Oakland, California, by way of Sacramento. She's a singer. She's a wife. I want to say she's a mother. Hopefully she is a mother, but if she's not a mother, she's a mother. But she's gonna, she is one phenomenal person that we felt we had to bring on this podcast, on this episode to you tonight. So I present to some, introduce to others, the one, the only. She goes by the name of Miss Samona.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Welcome for coming on and joining us.
Yeah, how you doing this evening, Miss Samona?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Yes.
Do you have kids?
I do. I have two.
Woo,
yes.
Saved by the bell.
Saved by the kids. I thought my introduction was gonna be like, oh, I just threw something out there.
Yeah.
But listen, I know I gave you a little light introduction, but why don't you introduce yourself in your own way to our platform?
Okay, so my name is Samona, and I am from Sacramento, California. I was born in Oakland, and I am an indie gospel artist, and I've been singing for a really long time, and I'm just kind of like getting out there more so now, and that's my jam. That's what I do on the side. I work, of course, and I stay busy, but I keep time available to do this ministry that I feel like the Lord has given me.
Perfect. Awesome. Now listen, you said you put indie in front of artists. What does that word mean to you? What does indie mean? I know it's independent, but like what comes out of you when you say indie?
So I'm glad you asked that question. I would say that it's what you define as indie as well, so independent, but it's a little different because I do everything myself. Everything that you see that's out there, everything, I've done it myself together with my husband, primarily my producer, but it's us, which is kind of cool because we do it as a partnership, but there's no funding or anything like that. It's all coming from me.
Let's live right there for a second. Now, when you are an indie artist, and I think every artist, everybody, if they're into the music business, they start off indie, right?
Mm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
that's how you get discovered. But even when you get discovered, like back in the day, they would discover people and sign you to a label. Today's environment is way different from yesterday's environment, where an indie artist is more. I was going to say desirable, but it's more desire. It's more, what's the word I'm looking for? Valuable, I guess, uh,
Mm.
to be an independent artist than it was back in the day, because a lot of the major labels have kind of gotten lumped all into like the big two, labels. And now, we can see from, let's say, 20 years ago, all the things that's coming out, came out. You got these major artists saying, I had this bad deal,
Yeah.
and I gave away all my publishing, et cetera, et cetera. Or at least as an indie artist, you own
Own it.
everything
Yep.
that you do. And see, the thing is, even when you get signed, you still own your stuff. It's just that you are encouraged and recommended to sign it away, right? And then
Mm.
you no longer own your stuff. So being an independent artist, I think today's time, like, so when you said that, for me, it triggers something like, yo, it's like a bonus benefit, like good, to be an independent artist in these days and time. So
Mm.
how's that journey been for you, just being that independent artist? The good, the bad, the ugly, everything.
I didn't expect that it would turn into what it's turning into. So that has been a surprise. It just kind of started with a seed, ever since I was a little kid, and I really didn't sing that well, at least in my opinion. But I remember being a little kid and walking down the street of my neighborhood and knowing inside of my heart, inside of my spirit, that I was going to sing one day. I didn't know how. I
Mm.
didn't I didn't really know how that was going to manifest itself, but I always had that seed there. And so I began playing instruments and um, just developing in that way, and then just growing and growing to this point, going to the studio when I was like 17 and finding a love for recording music. And then I say on many of my interviews, I had a traumatic event that happened that made me go full force. So
Mm.
before this traumatic event, I did put some music out just to kind of see how it would do, how it would go. And I didn't really think anyone was listening, because you get that little report from CD Baby and it's like $26, and you're like,
Yeah.
nobody listened to me. And then
$26.
when I
And that's
That's a
looked at
lot of
that,
money.
yeah, right, from back in the day. So yeah, and so when I remember pulling up that detailed report, and they broke it down, and I saw all these people from all these different places that were playing my music. That was no promo, that was no nothing. I just put it out there. And so when I saw that, it encouraged me. I was like, let me keep going. And other people started to encourage me. Janice Lavon is another, a shout out to her. She encouraged me, and just a lot of people. And so I just started creating and creating. And then I had this event happen where my beloved brother was murdered. And
wow.
when he traumatically like died, it just it jolted me past my fear
Mm.
of, oh, it's not good enough, it's not this, I didn't do this, and all that nitpicking. It just jolted me out of that and just said, you know what, let me give what God has given me, because I don't really feel that fear is going to be an excuse on Judgment Day, when the Lord says, I gave you all of these things, and what did you do with it? I just, let me just move past this, is what I was thinking in my mind. And it just, from that point on, I did one song, decided to put it on the radio, and then it just grew, and then it just grew, and it just got me to this point. And so I'm just watching the Lord kind of move on my behalf, open doors and things like that. And so that was a very long-winded answer, but that was kind of
No,
like my beginning in a nutshell to where I'm at now.
Wow.
go ahead. You was gonna say something, JR?
So it's like a birth pain. I mean, the loss of your brother, and then this takes place of you being birthed into what it is you was desired to do,
Yeah,
in life. So that's wow. I'm sorry to hear that about your brother.
thank you.
Wow. Go ahead,
And
Gabe.
Mhm.
so when you said that about your brother, it, and I know we said this offline, but that's where I remember you from. That you told that to Shan Ray. Shout out Shan Ray.
Sean
Um,
Ray, yep.
Sean Ray, yeah. Shout out to them, Jason Nation.
Yeah.
But that's where I remember you from,
Hmm.
because I was listening. We was on her platform, all in the same night, and
Yeah.
I remember you giving that testimony of kind of that kind of really got you from loosely doing it to being serious. Because
Hmm.
we talked many times on this platform about fear, and sometimes fear can hold a person hostage
Yes.
from doing, and that's just one small tool. The Bible says that God hasn't given you that spirit. So if
Yeah.
God didn't give it to you, then where did it come from? Right?
Right.
If you have it. So, but fear itself can put a person in a headlock. I was saying this one time, this was years ago, and I was talking about, I think the topic was like copyrights, and a
Mm.
person like, yo, I ain't putting nothing out until, it's copywritten. And I'm like, hey man, that when you say copyright, it just, if you put it backwards, it means you have the right, RIGHT, to copy your own stuff. That's all
Mm.
it means, right? It's nothing. So when you say I got to get it write it or whatever, it doesn't make
Hmm.
sense, because once you say it, right, once you can get it on a medium that's tangible where you can copy,
Hmm.
then you got the right to copy. So copy, but you don't have the right to copy somebody else's stuff. My
Right.
point in saying that was, besides what we do at when you go send it to DC, you're just registering. You're not copywriting anything. You're getting it registered, and you're just
Hmm.
saying, DC is saying, okay, we'll back you up with this, who you are, when you did this, in what medium it was in, however you registered it, and we'll stand behind you if somebody takes or steals your idea. That's what it
Hmm.
means. But I was making the point to say that fear
Yeah.
can do the same thing. Hey, I'm not gonna put this out. Nobody can hear it until I got it copyright. Right?
Mhm.
Well, if you use fear, then you don't have to do that, because you're never gonna put it out.
Never gonna put it out. That's the
Yeah.
truth.
Mhm.
Fear have you hold you hostage from doing that. So
That's the truth.
but I want to circle back, because you did say a lot. You said that you looked at your analytical data, right,
Hmm.
on CD Baby or whatever you looked at.
Yeah.
Now, see, this is one small difference between an indie artist and a major artist. Major
Okay.
artists, right? They got maybe a manager, right? Let's say they get signed young. They don't really know. I just want to do music, right?
Hmm.
And they get signed, and they just say, okay, I'm good. All I got to do is make music. Back in the day, yeah, that kind of made sense. Oh, just focus on just music. But see, you don't know the business of music. You don't know
Mm.
who's listening to your stuff. You don't know how to read charts. You don't even know what publishing is. You don't know what songwriters credits are. You don't know royalties. You don't know none of that, right? You
Hmm.
just dependent on somebody else to do it. So
Yeah.
today's artists, I think this is like a basic. Like, you need to know that. So back to you, how did you? Because you're an independent artist, right? How did you even know to, like, let me go and check my analytical data? Let me see, what's happening, so I can adjust if I need to.
I love that question because I may not be a numbers person, but I respect data and analytics and I like reading analytics. So, I wanted to see a thorough breakdown for the location, the demographics, like the places where people were streaming or yeah, were streaming my music. And so I actually used that as a marketing tool. And I don't want to give all the nuggets away, but yeah, so like
Mm,
that data helped me to know where to market, um, and all of that information kind of it really helped me to get to where I am right now. So, for example, one of the demographics that I noticed streamed my music the most was the United Kingdom. I'm sorry, I'm tongue tied today.
It's okay.
The
you good?
UK.
The
And
UK.
yeah, the UK. And so the next big song that I put out like years later, I marketed to the UK. and I ended
Mm.
up charting over there. But if
Wow.
I didn't have that data, I wouldn't have known, because a lot of times I think we can have a local mindset, and sometimes we may struggle with rejection or who's going to hear our music. It's just because people are liking your post on social media, friends and family, it doesn't mean they're going to stream your music. So you have to think, maybe they're happy that you put it out, they're supporting you in that way, but you got to, if you feel like you have a song that um, came from the Lord, it's composed properly, and you feel like it has a vibe, or whatever components it is that makes you confident in your artistry, um, you have to you have to be willing to market it. And I lost my train of thought because the lock. I don't know if you heard that little sound.
No,
No, you're good. But you said
but
so. Oh, go ahead.
oh,
Go ahead.
Yeah, help me get back on track because I lost my
yeah.
train of thought.
Oh, well, sorry. I wanted to add to what you guys were saying as far as indie, right?
Yeah,
When you become an indie, I think of entrepreneur, because right now you're business owner and you tracking, looking at all those metrics to make sure that what's going on. You're now
yeah,
the CEO of your own company, of yourself, of your own product, versus you being a contractor underneath a major label, controlling, telling you, hey, this is what's happening, and you don't know what's going on. And that's
right.
what's the good thing of an indie artist. You know what's going on around you, and you
Hmm.
tracking these things is very important. That helps you grow as a business owner. So you won't
Absolutely.
be getting, uh, I guess, stabbed in the back if you don't know what's going on. So
Or even just lost, like
right, exactly.
lost in the sauce. You don't know where to
Very
market
true.
to, who's listening, how to
Hmm.
even structure your next, marketing campaign or whatever it may be. So
Yeah.
yeah. Now you spoke. You said whatever the Lord has given you. So it sounds like you love the Lord. So tell me, when did you give your life to the Lord? What was it like in your household growing up? Was your family uh, church folks, or can you speak to that?
Yes. So I was raised in a very religious, apostolic, Pentecostal environment. So church was a really big part of my upbringing. But I don't mean to sound preachy, because that's not like my thing. That's just, God is just a part of my life. So it just kind of comes out. So I don't mean to sound, a certain way,
Oh, you're
but
good. You're good.
yeah, that's how I was raised, going to church all the time, Bible class, Sunday school, Sunday morning service. My dad was a deacon, my mom was an evangelist, or still is an evangelist. And so that was just a big, huge part of my upbringing. Um, but I have to say, when I was about 7 years old is when I got baptized. And I remember distinctively being a little kid and telling my parents, so I'm not going to just do this whole church thing or believe in God just because you say. I was a kid saying that. I know, I don't know what I was thinking. But they were like, okay. I said, I want God to show me that He's real.
Perfect.
Mhm.
And when I know that He's real, then I'm going to follow Him in the same way that you do. Because I think I observed as a child how much effort and how much time they were putting in the church. And I really wanted to make sure that it was real. And so I went through a series of, we're going real KJV, fleecing the Lord, where, where I was asking Him certain questions and certain scenarios and things like that, and the Lord like answered like crazy. Like it was just like there's no way that I can deny Him. And so He's like my favorite subject, and that's who I like to sing about. But I hope that in general people can draw inspiration, faith, um all of those things, peace, from the music that I put out. Because I know that even though someone may have a religious context, you still go through life and life gets hard. And sometimes you want to give up. And so I gently try to put my message out there as a gentle nudge of inspiration to keep going and to say, hey, we're all in this together. And I found something to hold on to. And I hope that you will find it too, through the light that I'm trying to present through my music.
Mhm. Now, you lead praise and worship at your local church?
Sometimes,
Okay. Okay.
sometimes, yeah.
Nice.
All right, so speaking of holding on, y'all hold on right there. We're gonna take a quick break, but when we get back, we're gonna dig into what Samona has going on currently. Right when we get back, this Ask the Producer.
Hey, 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 hey. 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 Hey, 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 hey.
Flowing like water, a melody springing from my soul. Heart full of worship and gratitude. I won't hold back anymore. You are so patient, I'm your patient. Heal my heart and restore. You are my rock, you keep me grounded. Part of your flock, 1%. You came and found me. Heaven sent. Here is my heart.
And we're back. So listen, we're rocking here with Samona out of Sacramento and California, West Coast in the house. This is the first time we had a West Coast guest, if I'm not mistaken. Before the break, she was breaking down to us, about, how at a young age, at an early age, she challenged her parents about following God, and I applaud that because it seems like you were serious about that at a young age, and
Yeah.
I feel like God really opened that door for you and revealed Himself. How has this walk with the Lord for you impact how you present your music and how you write and do those things?
So I'm really I'm really big on balance.
Mhm.
So even though I understand church and studying, the word of God and things like that, I understand that the people that I'm trying to reach, they may have a different background than I do. And
Mm.
so my goal is to bridge the gap and bring spiritual concepts to my listeners. Um, I How do I explain it?
Hey, because you slow to answering this one, I want to really dig right
Okay,
here.
go
This
ahead.
this is what I feel we need to dig. So, give me an example of how you think your sound, not your content, but your sound. What's Samona's sound like? If you could
Neo
put your
soul.
sound in, okay, I was gonna say if you could put it in what they call genre, what would it
Yeah,
sound like?
yeah,
So,
neo soul.
so here's my question:
Okay.
being that your sound is more like a neo soul sound, but you were raised in an apostolic type background, and I know about it because I'm also raised in an apostolic
Wow.
background, and I do my parents are pastors, my dad is a bishop,
Wow.
and this was one of the battles, challenges we had because I'm a musician, and
Mhm.
as a young person, I used to listen to all types of music, even though it's like, hey, don't do that, right? But
Mhm.
I did, you know. But when I turned my life over to God, long story short, I look at music differently now. I just call it kingdom music. It can
Yeah.
sound like what you call R&B or what you
Mhm.
call rock and roll or what you call hip hop or what you call, but for me, right, I feel like I'm
Mhm.
an ambassador of the kingdom of God. And so what I'm doing, I'm coming out of myself. I'm producing these sounds which I feel that's given to me via the Holy Spirit, right? And I'm putting my lifestyle in these sounds. So
Yeah.
do you feel that your song, you could take it to your church or any church for that matter? Hey, hit play, boom, and let's play this song, and I'm gonna do this in church. Do you feel confident that it'll be received, or
So I'm not a traditional. When you think of the traditional gospel sound, I don't have that, and so sometimes there is some trepidation because I say it like this: you may not press play and listen to my song in church, but when you get in the car, oh yeah, you'll listen to me.
Be blasting it loud.
Yeah, you blast it, right? Yeah.
and I
So
go ahead,
yeah,
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was saying, I said that to say that You said balance. I like that word, balance. To me, this is a part of the balance. It's okay, if you're in church. No, we don't want to hear no 808s. We don't want to hear none of that because this
Yeah.
is church and we want a certain sound from the church. That's okay, right? But do not point the finger at a person, at a kingdom citizen that God set
That's how I
forth,
feel.
and
Yes.
their sound is not that of yours,
Right.
church, right?
Right.
But God got them with this sound to reach a certain demographic,
That's
right?
right.
Because the harvest is plentiful, but
Yep.
the laborers are few.
Laborers are few.
You pray to the Lord of the harvest to send out his laborers.
That's
So
right.
don't get mad at Samona because God sent her and said, hey, I need you to pick corn. But see, this corn, they ain't used to the church sound. They used to this, so we need you to do this. Don't get mad at her because her sound might be different. Is all
And
I'm
not
saying.
only exactly, and not only that, what if they don't like the church sound? It may be nostalgic to us, like it makes us feel that feeling that you feel in church, but people without that context and people who didn't grow up in the church, that sound may not register for them, but they could be newly saved or just opening up their heart to God and his existence, and they may want to hear positive music, but it needs to be packaged in a way where they will listen to it. I use my husband as an example. He doesn't like the traditional gospel sound, and he used to tell me about how before he got saved, he would listen to his R&B, but those tracks in the R&B track list that would talk about God, that was his praise and worship. And one of the things that he also says is, he said nobody's gospel music sounds like what it did back when Jesus was alive. So everybody's wrong.
I say it all the time.
Yeah.
If you want to be real.
Yeah. So I think a lot of it is control. And I remember somebody from back in the day who was an older gentleman, and he said that gospel music shouldn't even have a jazzy sound because jazzy makes you feel certain ways and this, that, and the other. But what if it makes you feel like that and it doesn't make me feel like that? And you know how the Bible talks about don't judge another man's servant. We can't be judging God's servants. And I'm not condemned by that. I don't feel convicted by that. I feel like this is the sound God's giving me to use. And I believe he'll anoint it and it'll reach who it's supposed to reach. And I'm going to stay out of your lane. You know what I'm saying? And let me do what God is calling me to do.
I'm glad you said that jazzy sound because what was it, 2006 or 7? I think it was 7. I was newly saved, and I came out with a Christian jazz CD. So
nice.
I went. My dad at the time, we were Church of God in Christ. And he wrote several books, and I went with him to the convention. I'd never been to it before, and I thought it was weird anyway because the way things all has been transpired or whatever. So I'm selling my CDs, just trying to, promote or whatever. And this pastor came up and saw that it had jazz on it. He was like, "Well, we don't do jazz. You're not supposed to have jazz in church." And I was like, I pretty much ignored him. I'm like, really? It's just music, man. What? There ain't no words to it. Like, what in the world is this? But anyway, yeah. Well, go ahead, Gabe.
People are like that.
That's the point, because the Bible doesn't say that.
It doesn't.
So
Not at all.
And if you study music, right? I'm gonna say this real short. If you study that term music, right? The root word is muse. And if you study what a muse is, right? It's muse. The definition of a muse is anything that inspires you, right, to do whatever, right? So it's an inspiring. So so if you look at it in the perverted way, if a man's, oh yeah, this naked woman, that's my muse. Oh, that's my muse. She inspires me to write and do, right? Well, that's perverted, right?
Right.
But muse, the IC on the end of muse, IC is a suffix, and it just means the characteristic of. That's all it means. So music is the characteristic of inspiring you to do something. That's what music is. That's the definition of music. So that tells me that music itself is neutral.
Neutral. Yeah.
It is.
It's not good. It's not bad. It's just neutral. It takes shape depending on whoever is creating it. That's the
Hmm.
point.
Yeah,
So if you're wicked in your core, the
You're gonna
music
get
you put
wicked
out,
sound.
I don't
gonna.
care if you have a churchy sound,
That's
it's
right.
gonna be wicked. And that's
That's
what you're
right.
gonna put out. And that
Yeah.
wickedness, that spirit of wickedness is gonna be in that sound, in that music, right?
Hmm.
And that's what you're putting out. But see, if your character, if you're good at heart, you love, you're a slave to Christ, right? To righteousness. If you
Hmm.
putting out music, I don't care if it sounds like hip hop to somebody, that's not what it is.
That's
And
right.
that's the point. Music is just is neutral. So we need to flow with God. We need to
Yes.
flow with the Holy Spirit.
Hmm.
Speaking of
Yes.
flow, you have a brand new single that
Yes.
just dropped on the 29th of last month, March
Yes.
29th. Am I right? What's the
Yes. You're
what's the
correct.
title of this song, this single?
It's called Flowing. Perfect segue. Yes.
Now,
Flowing.
what inspired you to write this song and title it "Flowing"?
Well, I was in my dining room and I was listening to a song and it was just inspiring me. The sounds, the acoustic guitar, it was very soulful. But it wasn't by like a gospel artist, but it was just the instrumentation of this particular song. And I kind of I hummed a little bit to it and I said, hmm, hmm. I started hearing something
That
in
second
my
one.
spirit and it flipped it. And it was almost like this word. I know it sounds so weird. And that's why I'm like, should I even tell this? But yeah, I was listening to some music and even though it was another person's song, some other words started flowing into my heart. And it became like this worship song. And I began to write and just took me out of that mode of what I was listening to really thinking about the Lord and writing it more so from a place of um, being in a moment, maybe a moment of just being down or I won't say defeated, but I just kept seeing like this lady, like kind of like in her secret closet, going through some things, and the only thing she had was her worship. And so she was going through and all of that, but her song kept coming out and it just kept flowing from out of her. And that was her offering. She couldn't give this and couldn't give that, but she could give her praise. And so
Wow.
that was the premise of how I wrote that song. And I went to Tennessee with this idea because I was slated to go to Tennessee for a whole week to do some writing and to do just some more music. And so I was with Billy Smiley, who is a really awesome songwriter. He's a producer, Dove nominated, Grammy awarded, all of that. And so, but it was nice. It was just me, my husband, and Billy. We were in the studio in Tennessee, and I gave him this idea, sang it to him, sang the melody to him, and then he started to play these mysterious sounding chords. And for me, what inspires me are is sounds. So the right sound will make more come out. And so that's kind of what happened. So we went ahead and laid the skeleton of the song. And then the next day we took it to a programmer who took it to another place. And then when I got back to Sacramento, I played it for my producer that I normally work with. And he was like, oh, I hear some other things. So it became this cross pollination and a collaboration between all of these minds. It started from my worship. And then I feel like everyone put their worship on it, their thing on it. And so it just kind of turned out into this song. And it is a worship song. It's very unique. It has strings, but it also has this other. It's kind of hard to explain, but the soul is there. But it's not a traditional sound you would hear. But I think that the spirit of worship is on the track, and so I hope that you will check it out.
Wow. How you had a lot of, and I like the teamwork in that whole flow. You went to Tennessee, you sang a piece of what you had, and he started putting his take on it, and it just kind of made the whole trip back around to where you have it now, and then you released it. Obviously,
Hmm.
what do you want the hearer of that song to walk away with?
I want the hearer to be able to stop in that song and not think about their problems or anything that they're going through, and just have a moment of thankfulness and a moment of meditation to just think about the goodness of God, or just life and just thankfulness. The song, it builds up. It talks about, metaphorically, being one of the lost sheep,
Mm.
and it talks about how God grounded me, and even though I was a lost sheep, he came and found me. He grounded me. He did all of these things for me. And then now here's my offering flowing like water, a melody springing from my
Mhm.
soul, a heart full of worship and gratitude. I won't hold back anymore. And it's just talking about releasing that praise. And I hope that that song inspires someone to do just that.
Well, I know it inspired me to get some music flowing. Let me put down
Yay.
some tracks because that
That's
joint was fire.
awesome. Thank
Dope.
you.
Dope. So, what would you say to the aspiring artists that's wanting to get their music out there, get heard, but they may not have the money or the financial resources to do so? How would you advise or encourage them to start?
I would say focus on something that you're really good at or you're really comfortable with, and try to get inspiration and energy around your strength. So if it's composition, if it's producing, if it's singing, I would park there for a little bit and then develop a plan. Think about what you want to do. Do you want to pioneer in the genre that you're um, in, or that you're drawn to? What is it that you want to accomplish? Do you want to be known for being a songwriter, like, those types of things? And then just start writing, doing whatever it is that you feel inspired to do. But I think it is very, very important once you start, because the operating in your strength is going to keep you going. It's
Mm.
going to help you to not get discouraged, even if you try to go into a lane that you're not that strong in. So lead with your strength. But I would say that you have got to have a QA process.
Mm,
We do it at work.
yeah, you sure? Right
If
about that.
things are under quality control, quality assessment all the time. And so getting your process down,
Mm.
when it's time to release music, or when it's time to put a song together, and then let an expert listen to it. Let people give you feedback. Now, not just anybody, because you got to get people that maybe hear what you hear, or hear where you're trying to go, and can make that vision or that thing in you flourish.
Mhm.
But maybe they're further ahead than you, and they have like a proven track record of being successful. So you have to seek out those types of people if you can. If you don't have access to them, listen to their tutelage, like if it's on YouTube, or just being around them and getting and gleaning, and getting that information by proximity, or whatever the case may be. But strengthening your process and not falling for it, because there's a lot of indie artists out there, and they claim to be experts about things, but perhaps the numbers don't back their expertise. Maybe it does, or maybe it just shows in a different way. I would just say, you know do your own research. I think JR was saying that, like, do your own research, make sure you know how to look at data analytics, make sure that I think, Gabe, you were talking about knowing about copyrights, knowing about all these different pieces, BMI, and how to register your music, how to get your songs encoded and things like that, so that you can chart on the radio, and things like that. Know what a royalty is, and just really be intelligence, like apply intelligence to the music that you're trying to create, or the vibe, or the movement that you're trying to create in music. And so that would be my advice.
These days,
Great
unlike
advice.
yesterday, it's great advice. I, Everything that you need is there. especially these days. If you need information, go online.
Yeah.
You can find whatever you need. Um, what's next for you, Samona? What's the future looking like?
I want to keep growing. And so right now I'm working on putting together a live show. But I want to just keep growing, and I'm trying to give myself grace and not be too hard on myself. Um, like we talked about before, recognizing when fear is trying to hold me back or make me so anxious and nervous that I'm having, performance anxiety or whatever is happening. I just want to grow in being even more comfortable with my expression, because as we talked about before, I don't have the traditional churchy sound, but I
Right.
appreciate that sound and I am moved by that sound. It just doesn't come out that way. And so just really getting a flow with saying, hey, you know what? This is how I do it. This is how I express it. I could sing Safe in His Arms, but it's going to come out a little bit different. I can sing hymns and it's going to come out with a little bit of a different flair, and being okay with that. So growing in my authenticity as far as expressing it and not worrying about what church people say that I should sound like.
Mm.
Boy,
So
that sound person. That sound like you. That touch you. That I can see you in church about to sing a song, and before you sing, you're like, "Hey guys, listen. Uh, it's not gonna come out the way that you guys are used to."
yeah, we're gonna do something different. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Does that bother you? Any that like you like safe in his arm. I'm gonna sing this song, but it's not gonna be the way that you probably used to hearing it. Does that get to you? Because that to me that
Not
sounds
with
like
those. It gets to it, it's more so like with songs where you have to really drive. And I do think
uh,
there's some people who are more gifted in driving the song, like, right in the pocket, all
yeah,
that. That's
yeah.
just not me. So I don't worry about it. I just say, hey, don't give me that song. But I'm good with ballads and mid tempo songs and things like that. So I kind of know where my lane is, and people ask me to sing, so clearly, maybe it's more of a me thing, but I'm aware of how
Gotcha.
they think.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
So
saying? So it's like
I,
fighting that. Now, when I'm, in a setting where it's not churchy, I don't have that same
that thinking about
baggage.
like,
Right. I'm
oh,
not thinking about it.
it's
It's
natural. I
pretty
got
much knowing your audience.
Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah, and
So,
And I do
I
care.
I wish it wasn't like that. Meaning, I wish it wasn't like because see, like my album, I'm wary that I could like play it in the church, like oh, just go and hit play, and it's like I'll move this song, I'll move that song, maybe this one can go, and I might do this.
Right.
I
The same
don't
way.
like that it's like that, um, but that's how it is right now, I guess. Um,
Hmm.
and I just think a little more education on music, and and like I said, it's not bad if a person they just not into that. And
That's
I
right.
get it. You're into
Me
what
too.
you're into, and that's
That's right.
fine. But don't put a criticism there when it doesn't need to be there. Oh, this ain't
Right.
holy. This ain't godly. Whoa, wait a minute. So anyway,
Yeah.
how can you be reached? How can people reach you if they want to follow you? How can they reach you and follow you?
Um, So I'm on all of the streaming platforms, so like iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, and you can purchase my music directly through samonamusic.com, and that's SAMONA music.com. And I'm always available through DM, Instagram, and on my YouTube channel, there is um, my email address and things like that. And even on my website, you can send me an inquiry if you would like to do it that way as well. But I am reachable. Facebook, Instagram, email.
And just to be clear, on Facebook, Instagram is Samona. It's like Instagram at Samona or
It's at Samona Music on
oh,
Instagram, and YouTube and Facebook, Music by Samona. But I do have a personal page, Samona W Music. I know it's a lot, but yeah.
Sorry.
It's all good. So listen, y'all, share this video. Y'all heard it first from Samona. Samona, we thank you. You could have been anywhere else, and I know over there in the West is dinner. We're taking your dinner time.
It's okay.
But we appreciate you for coming on this platform and gracing us with your presence and dropping the gems for our audience to see, So y'all follow her on her platforms, book her, for things, stream her music. We need to support one another in things that we're doing and show that united front, JR, you got anything else?
All I want to say, Samona, thank you for saying yes when I reached out. I was a little nervous. I didn't know if you was going to say yes or no, but hey, I was like, let's take a chance. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you.
That's fair, JR. That's fair.
Thank you for having me.
I had the trumpet. And so, yes, and, we're so appreciative of you. And thank you again. And yes,
you're welcome.
Awesome.
Appreciate you. So y'all listen, y'all know how we like to do. We always come with the goods. If y'all want to be on this platform, reach out to us. Y'all know how to reach us. We'll have it in the description somewhere. But come on, and we like to get people you can't be on the sidelines, guys. You got to be in it. You got to be doing what you say that you do. And we like to bring people like that on because we know a lot of people that watch this pod, they're trying to figure out how things flow, how to get in, and so we want to create that roadmap for them. So y'all know how we do it, so I'm Gabriel, this is
JR,
and this has been Ask a Producer. We'll catch y'all on the next one.